Hi everybody, it's Andrew Hutchings with you here again tonight. Just moments after the last video, I just clicked the square to turn it off and clicked the circle to turn it back on. And this video is about using this same CBD cream for gynecomastia. Maybe CBD cream for gynecomastia? Maybe if you know a little bit about CBD and THC and all those things, you go, oh, CBD, it can disrupt neuronal function, it can increase and decrease dopamine, it can cause problems, it's not good for gynecomastia. Well, I knew that, and I also knew that CBD has been shown to increase apoptosis, meaning that it increases how much cells are dying. So I thought maybe if we turn up the apoptosis, so we get more of the, basically if you can lower the so cells, most cells are not immortal, not living forever. You have a cell, and then it dies, and it gets replaced by another cell. And this is constantly happening. So you have like 100 cells, one dies, one new one comes, another one dies, another new, and you always have about the same amount. So if you can increase how many of them are dying, or decrease how many of them are forming, you can decrease that number of cells. Because think about it, if you have 100 cells, and one is dying every second, but you're only making one new one every 2 seconds, before you know it, you'd be all out of cells. Or if you have that 100 cells and you're making one every 2 seconds, well, actually it's the same situation even if you reverse it, but yeah, you get the point. Just, you can change either one of those. So I figured if the CBD cream is good for increasing apoptosis of cancer cells, and it's more complicated than this, I do know the biology and sort of it affects different parts of the cell cycle and such, and not all cells are undergoing rapid division. Actually, the mammary tissue in my chest is not, but I figured, why not give it a try? You never know. So I tried it, and actually it was like, whoa, this is working already, because it was like the most stringent, like, most hard and like tight the nipple area had been in a long time. So, well, this is working really good. So I did it for a few days and it seemed to be working well. And then after a few days, I noticed that it was like the skin was bleeding inside. Yeah, pretty strange. So it's like, that's a good sign. Maybe it's really killing the stuff in there and it's literally bleeding. But I decided to stop doing it. And I mean, not completely, like I just wasn't doing it as much. And I noticed that it seemed to stop working, and now that I haven't used it on here for probably about a week, I've noticed, well actually a friend of mine pointed it out, that my nipples are more puffy than usual. And then I realized after he told me, and I was like, oh yeah, maybe it did actually mess with the dopamine or something, one way or another. Maybe it's rebound, who knows, but one way or another, it worked, or it seemed to work for a little while. Then it got the weird effects of the tissue had blood inside it, like not on the surface, but inside. And like if it's right under the skin, you can see the blood. And then after I didn't do it as much, the gynecomastia came back, and now that I've stopped completely, it's worse than when I started. I don't think the actual size has changed, but it's doing like a puffiness. So I don't know how much you personally, whoever you are watching this, know about gynecomastia, but even if you're not taking drugs, a whole lot of things can be changing all the time. Or maybe they're just changing me more often, I don't know. But at least for me, sometimes it gets more puffy, sometimes the tissue itself starts to start growing a little bit again, sometimes it gets growing and painful, sometimes it's like sore, sometimes, like there's different feelings, and it's not just that it stays flat all the time. I mean, your body is always going through little changes. Maybe you get sick and things get out of balance, and it's not just like this. It's like, ooh. So yeah, and typically in the last couple of years, I had more of the growing, I would call it, mental blank on what I would call it, a flare-up is what I would call it, when it seemed like the tissue was going back to growing and be painful. Not itchy, like when it first happened to me when I was like 19. But yeah, flare-ups I don't know, a few a year. And, but I don't, probably it did get puffy at times, but I mean, yeah, it did. But I can't recall if the puffiness is just random on random days, or if there are actually time periods of more puffiness. I don't recall like actual time periods of more puffiness, it's just random. But yeah, right now it seems to be going through a few days of being more puffy. Interesting. Also, I do watch Greg Doucette's videos, and I do like them, and I agree with 99% of what he says. And I think that he was right about this one guy. I don't even remember his name. All I didn't remember is that he apparently eats McDonald's and promotes bad eating. But Greg Doucette was looking at his nipples and saying that it seems like he got surgery, and I'm not disagreeing with that, because they look different all the time. And then apparently the guy responded saying that it depends on if it's hot or cold out, they change. And then Greg Doucette was like, oh no, it doesn't depend on that, blah, blah, blah. This is the 1% of the time I've got to disagree with you, Greg, if you're watching this, and that'd be cool. For everybody else, this is the 1% of the time that I would disagree with him, because I have gynecomastia, and I can tell you with 100% certainty that if I go to the beach, I know I'll look a hell of a lot better if I go in the cold water and let everything tighten up. But if I'm sitting around, getting relaxed, maybe it starts to get a little saggy, I mean, you know, you go in the water, your skin gets tight, your balls get smaller. That's what happens with tissue. It tightens up when it's cold. So even though you may have the same stuff underneath it, it's just like your balls. Your balls themselves aren't shrinking, but when it gets cold, the skin pulls up and tightens, so they seem smaller. Same thing can happen with your chest. Hope you like this video. Please like and subscribe if you liked it, and comment, because apparently it helps the algorithm. I learned that from Greg Doucette's videos. And check out my Instagram, natural_true_fitness. And random note, but in my other video where I'm talking about people pretending to be natty and only looking as good as me, and I happen to look pretty bad in that video, hopefully I look at least a little bit better in this video, and you can see why I would say that people can only look as good as me with steroids, and you actually think that I look good versus you think it's like laughable because I look so soft and puffy in the other video. But yeah, if you want to see pictures of me looking good, go on my Instagram, because YouTube, I'm not looking my best. But don't forget to like and subscribe and comment, and check out my Instagram, where you can also hire me for whatever you want. Not whatever you want, but whatever you want within this kind of related stuff.